Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. It is time. Atlanta DJ Zone, Tech Tuesday Live. You're here with the kid, aka Kenya Ellis, for another episode of the DJ Tech Tuesday podcast. This podcast that I host on Tuesday, either 9:30, 10 p.m., whatever time that I have available to do the podcast. That's when I have time to do it. So, all right, hold on a second. Let me mic up. Better. All right. So again, tonight I'm doing something special. This episode came from a quiz that I took recently. The quiz was something that showed up on my Facebook timeline. It was presented by Hosa, which is the cable company that mostly is carried by Guitar Center. I thought I probably had maybe one of their cables or a label nearby, but I don't. But anyway, you can look it up. Hosa, Hosa. They're the company that carries a lot of cables, audio and video, but mostly audio. And you can find that particular brand mostly at Guitar Center. But anyway, they provided a 10 question about cables, and it was timed. I think you had like 15 seconds per question to answer it. Now, some of the questions kind of stump you a little bit because it was some cables that I have never encountered, but I have heard of them. And then there was some that was like a trick question. So I was able to get through all the questions and get a complete 100 because I deal with a whole bunch of audio and video cables in some of the jobs and some of the other careers and so forth that I've been doing. Even when I was contracted, I did. So it was it was basically a no-brainer, but there were some questions in there that did stump me. So what I'm gonna do before I get started, I'm gonna find that post and I'm gonna copy the question. I'm gonna copy the link. I'm gonna copy the link in the comments. Yep, didn't mean to unmute that. All right, so I'm gonna copy the link. All right, let me find the link because I addressed it to the top. So it should be here it is. So I'm gonna open the link and I'm gonna address it into the top. Now, this this episode is gonna be a two-part series. The reason it's going to be a two-part series because I went into detail as for what I want to talk about today. Everything is going to be presented in a PowerPoint like presentation. I went through and selected all the information that I think you guys need to know about cabling. I mean, there may be some stuff that I left out, but the most important parts that you need to know with what you're going to be dealing with is what I'm covering. So I'm going to cover half of it today, and then I'm going to finish the other half next week. This also gives me time to answer any questions, and it's going to shorten up the podcast, which means a lot of editing will be easier for me to do. So first off, let me get that. I got the link right here. So let me open it up in a new tab. And so, like I said, this right here is the actual quiz. And if you haven't taken the quiz yet, I suggest I mean, it'll probably only take about a minute and a half, somewhere close to 2 minutes, probably under 3 minutes. Because, like I said, each question is 15 is 15 seconds. You got 15 seconds to answer each question. So, what I really want y'all to do is take the test. Take the test or the quiz. Here's the link right here. I just posted. Also, if you haven't done so, um, make sure that StreamYard, click on the link so you can allow StreamYard to show your name. Just as if it did right here with my name, it shows my name and it also shows an icon picture that I wanted to use, and that's my YouTube. That's my YouTube channel name. So make sure that you choose that and select that so I can see who's applying in the comments. Now, while I get ready to start the presentation, because I haven't did a PowerPoint on here in a while, I got to go through and restart the slideshow. Okay, I want to go to the beginning. Oh, don't want that. All right, so there we go. That's one part of it. Let me trying to get this to the main, back to the beginning, and it don't want to do it. Don't want it to do that, but it's doing some stuff I don't want it to do. But like I said, while I'm getting set up, go ahead and take that quiz, and in the comments, let me know how you did on the quiz. Only take about a minute or so to complete the quiz. All right, let's see. Okay, there we go. I figured out how I can get to the top now. All right, so I'm not gonna waste a lot of time. Um, I'm gonna give about a minute or so. If you're taking the quiz, let you go ahead and take the quiz. Just gonna mention some other things real quick. This coming Saturday is the next PLE for the Pandemic Games and Entertainment premier live event that we host every other Saturday or bi-monthly, 2 times a month, every other Saturday. So this weekend, March 12th, is going to be the next PLE. Okay, what's up? Let's see. You got Eric. What's up, Eric? Let me see what you said. You had taken the quiz when it was first out there. I ist the Phoenix cable, 9 out of 10. Yeah, that one kind of stumped me, but I thought about it and I'm like, okay, the options, I can't remember the options. I actually went back through it and I wrote it down. And what I'm gonna do on the next part, on part 2 of this, because this is only covering, I mean, just 2 parts is a lot. I mean, this one is going to be covering audio and video, and then the next part is going to be lighting. I got signal only, which I can't remember. Okay, I remember what's going to be signal only, and power, optical, and then basically going over what was on that quiz, explaining the talking about the correct answers and talking about some that may have been stumping and some of the actual listing of the questions or the selection of answers in that. Which let me see, you said the Phoenix one. Oh yeah, the three options, or there may have been four options. I may have not written one down. Was Phoenix, Sync, and Dub It. That one, I need to go back and look at it again. It kind of confused me, but I managed to get it. So let's go ahead and get this started because this is. Oh yeah, I had one more thing I had to do before I left out one more thing because it was kind of long, and it only take me a quick second. I can just dump whatever I can get my hands on. I'm just gonna take. Yeah, I'm gonna take this one. And yeah, we're gonna leave that there. All right, let's get the slideshow up. Share screen. Share this screen. And what I probably I can stay here on camera too. So while while it's going on, let me hide. All right, there we go. So let's see if this works out how I want it to. And let's get ready to start. I need to go all the way back to the beginning. So, okay, let me turn this off for a second. Yeah, I need to stop this one.
Cameron, come here for a second.
Oh, great. All right, I'm gonna come back to that one in a second. Let me get it set up because that was at the end. All right, there we go. Got it set up to the beginning. And, all right, there we go. All right, so and it's still at the end. Why is it? Oh goodness. All right, let me come back full screen for a second while I get that back to the beginning. Come on, PowerPoint, work with me, work with me. Okay, I got all these. Let me close this screen. Oh, what did I do? Okay, good. You're still there. Okay, I'm missing a slide. Slide two. Right, there we go. Oh man. All right, here we go. Now we're ready to roll. Share. All right, here we go. I probably should have put part one on that, but can I do that real quick? Uh, all right, there we go. So now we're ready to go. As soon as I get it back shared again. There's no audio, so go ahead and mute my audio. All right, so here we go. This is all about cables. There's going to be different type of cables that I'm going to be talking about: audio, video, optical, signal only. Also, power, different types of power cables, lighting cables, and whatever else I come up with for next week. But tonight is just going to be two parts, which is enough. The cables that I'm going to be talking about are cables that you're essentially going to run across. So there's going to be different aspects about each cable that I'm going to mention that you probably need to know. Some stuff you're not going to know, or you may not know, but then there's going to be some stuff somewhere along here that you're going to be, oh, I never knew that. That's going to, it's not going to shock you, but it's going to be something that's going to settle in, and so whenever you need to use that cable, you'll be able to understand. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first cable, or the first topic, is going to be on audio cables. I'm about to talk about these four different types of cables and stuff that you need to know about those cables. We go to a full screen. All right. The first one, RCA, is like the basic cable. Then I'm gonna talk about your patch cables, XLR, and then the speaker. Now, this is going from good to best on the level. So everything that I have is going to be from good to best. All right, let's move on. All right, now the first one, RCA cables. RCA cables are very basic and very relevant. It's probably the cable you've been using for your whole life because they've been out there since maybe like the 30s or maybe even further back. Now, RCA or the RCA cable it means Radio Corporation of America, which is the company RCA that created the cable. The cables that you see here are you see a male, which is the red and white on the left, and then you see two females, a red and white on the right. Now, whenever you're using audio, unless you're using a mono signal, you're gonna have either a red and white or a red and black, which that black specifies as the left. Red, remember rule of thumb, red right, white left or black left is the direction that you connected in. And usually, whenever you're connected into something, it may be color coded based on the application that you're using. And now these cables are commonly and widely used everywhere and for multiple purposes. Right here, this is just the basic with audio, but I have something that before I move off this topic to show you where you're going to be seeing RCA cables again, because you can use RCA cables in several different applications on several different equipment. And so I'm going to show you in just a second other applications that use RCA cables. Now, RCA cables are unbalanced, which means that they only have two conductors. You have a hot and a neutral, or a hot and a ground, or whatever. You only have one, where a balance will have three, to where you have a hot ground and a neutral, where the ground eliminates a lot of stuff like hum and buzz and whatever, to where the signal path is more complete than what it is. Now, one thing to know whenever you plug in the RCA cable in, whenever always do always connect your cables up first before you power on your equipment. In the event that you do need to maybe connect the RCA cable, turn your volume or your gains down, turn down the volume, because when you stick the male tip of the RCA in, it can cause a hum before it even gets the ground or the two outer edge in to where it makes full contact. So when you stick it in, and let's say this right here, like this, my fingers on the outside are the outside barrel. This is the center. So when you stick it in, it can make a hum before it makes full contact. So you want to make sure that you have your volume down, because if you don't, it's gonna make a noise that you probably don't want to hear. And depending on how loud you have the system up, it can cause some issues. I'm not saying that it's gonna bust your speakers out, or something's gonna be severely damaged, but you just don't want that to be coming out while you're live or while you're performing or whatever. So whenever you need to do a cabling, to change the path of the cables or change cables, turn everything down. You probably need to do that with everything, because mostly everything, once you get that tip in, it's going to create a noise or a buzz, and it depending on how loud you got your system, it's going to sound annoying. So make sure you turn it down. That's one thing I want to share. Now, and I didn't even finish this. The the shorter with RCA cables, the better. Now, the max that you probably don't want to exceed with the RCA cable, because with it being unbalanced, it can carry um, interference, is probably 20 feet. I think I've probably seen or maybe have one that's 24 feet. Now, in applications like that, I don't use them with pro audio. I may use them with mobile electronics or car audio because if you have your head unit in the front and you have an amplifier in the rear trunk, you need to get the signal from your head unit from the front into the trunk. So you use RCA cables. Now the RCA cables that are used with mobile electronics are different. The conductor of the wire, the shielding, and everything is different to where it can handle running between the walls of the car, running between different parts, metal pieces or whatever, and even running along with the power wire, which is usually like a 8 gauge, maybe 10 gauge, probably down to maybe a 1 or 0, depending on how powerful your system is to handle it. So with that, make sure that shorter RCA cable is better. And usually, most RCA cables are between 3 feet and 6 feet, which is a good general length. Another thing to remember about RCA cables is that you know get good quality cables. Cheap cables can be bad. And I'm gonna mention this, and I've mentioned this several times before, to where people have had issues with equipment. Now, when you buy a new piece of equipment and it comes with a cable, when it comes with that cable, doesn't necessarily means that's the best cable for that equipment. That is just sent along with the equipment just so that you don't have to spend anything extra to buy that equipment. It's like buying a car, but then you have to buy the gas. When you buy a car, it has gas, it has oil, it has windshield wiper fluid, it has transmission, it has all this stuff included with manufacturers for pro audio gear. And this is not all the equipment. This is just some of the equipment. If anything, that come with a power cord. It comes with a power cord depending on what it is. If it's an amplifier, it probably won't come with audio cables because it in the aspect either you're buying this to replace something, so you already have the cables, or you're buying this to use something better, whether it be a hoser cable or a pig hog or whatever else out there. You're using a cable to go with it, and you're not worried about it not coming with any audio cables. Now, the reason I say this because and this is what I learned working for a manufacturer that does something like that. I used to work in the warehouse for EchoStar, which is currently EchoStar or DirecTV. Now, I used to work in the receiving department and also where they do the refurbish for satellite receivers. Now, they buy cables, the audio cables, whenever you get a refurbished or even a brand new receiver, it comes with a set of audio video cables. So with that, you don't have to worry about buying any cables. But most people do anyway because they want better cables or they want a high quality cable, or just like me, I want I want a specific type of cable, or I want a better cable than what came with the equipment. But some people, just to have something they can take out the box, plug and play is good enough for them. That's fine. But with some stuff, especially when it comes to DJ equipment, I always say get a better cable, audio cables, USB cables, whatever. Replace whatever comes in the box because what it is, they buy those cables by the bulk. So you think the cable that you may have may be worth maybe less than $5. No, they've probably spent 20 cents, maybe even 5 to 10 cents for those cables from a company whenever they get them in bulk. If they get them by the pallet, it may cost $200 for that whole pallet, and it may be like 20,000 cables. You can do this now. You can go to an online retailer, and you can get cables cheaper than what you would by going to the retail store. So you're using a cheaper cable with the high end equipment or whatever type of equipment that you buy. So, like I said, don't whenever you get something, especially USB cables, get you a better cable. And you can ask me later recommendation for what I would recommend because I do have or I have been buying better cables. All right, let's see. Do a check in. What's up? What's up, Dirty? What's going on, man? How you doing? What's going on in Birmingham? Nice to see you again, man. All right, now let's move on from RCA. I just dropped back for a second to see who's tuned in. Like I said, y'all make sure you click that link so I can see who you are. Also, make sure like, share, and subscribe. Get more people to check this video out. So let's move on from RCA. All right, after RCA, this is a chart that I found to talk about briefly the different other type of applications that you may see RCA cables being used with. And I can't really see this one. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right, here we go. So, all right, let me use, got a pointer I can use. All right, so I've already talked about, oh man, didn't mean to do that. Go back. All right, there we go. Just go do a pointer. All right, now I've already talked about the cables as in audio. Like I say, mono is left or it can be white if you're only using one. So white will be left, but then also black can be left. It depends on the port that you're using and the cables that you have. So there's no misconfusion of the type of cable. So your left side is gonna of your cable, and sometimes, well, the ports are usually gonna be white and red, or red and white, or whatever, however you want to put it, white and red. But you can sometimes have cables that are black and red or white and red. Just remember, if you're using a black cable, it goes into the white port. As long as you have red in the color that it's supposed to be, just use the other half and the other port. And that right there is your audio. Now, if you're using the video cable, which we'll be going into later, you're going to have a yellow RCA. If you're using analog audio, if you have a home theater um, hookup, then you're going to be using different colors based on the setup for that home theater setup. Green for center, left surround is blue, right surround is gray, left back surround brown, right back is tan, subwoofer is purple. Now, this also can apply for the PC. If you have a computer and the port on the back is a 5.1, it will also be coded like this, but the connection will be different. This is not for RCA. This is just a general color that is used for the same type of connections. Also, if you're using, and this will be covered next week on RCA cables used for digital. If you didn't know, yes, you can use a RCA cable for digital. I have a couple pieces of equipment here that I have RCA cables that's only used for digital, and it's not really that much of a signal. The impedance or the resistance on it is a little bit different than a regular RCA cable. You can use the RCA cable, but just like I say, it's better to use what works with that equipment best. So I have digital cables that are RCA. All right, and then next you have different types of video, which we'll also be talking about later, and it's three parts, actually 3 to 5 parts. You have 3 parts for your video, and you have for your two for your audio. The same two that I mentioned up here earlier, either your white and red or your black and red, which usually is white and red. That'll be used for your audio as well as your green and your blue. Oh, yeah, green, blue, and your red. And this is on composite video, which is still you still have it available, but not too many people use composite video. What you would probably find that would have composite video is you may find some VCRs. Uh, the last generation of VCRs will probably have that. Like if you have like a VCR DVD combo or VCR Blu-ray combo, it will have some composite, and that may be mostly for the Blu-ray. Blu-ray players and DVDs will have composite component. Well, no, excuse me. Component is what we're talking about. I used to get those confused a lot. Composite is just yellow. Component is red, blue, green, which produce the spectrum. Just the same thing as in LEDs. It produces the spectrum for your TV and your signal. All right, and then the last one, same thing, red, blue, green, and I've never encountered this one. I think this one is more for broadcasting, where you have a yellow for a horizontal sync and a video. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's RCA, but with like a B and C type of connector. I do have a cable. I think I do have a cable that has this, but this is mostly for broadcasting. This type of cable is used for broadcasting to where you have 5 just for the video. All right, moving on. And I didn't mean to do that. Okay, how do I get out of this? All right, I need to get out of this. All right, there we go. Moving on. The next one talking about is audio, patch cables, and they can be I put balanced, but they can some can be unbalanced as well. Um, the connection for you're gonna either be mono or stereo. If you see the ones that I have here, the ones that I have right here, the first two are mono, which means they only have a tip and a sleeve. The sleeve is going to be the longer part or the part closest to the end. The part at the front is going to be the tip, which basically that's what it is, a tip. Now, when you're dealing with TRS, you're going to have the same thing except the sleeve is going to be cut in half, and you're going to have a ring, which is basically just like it is a ring is between the sleeve and it's between the tip, which in most cases it can be used for a wide range of things. All right, now the ones that I have here shown, this one right here is the 2.5 millimeter or the tent mono, which has a tip and a sleeve. This application you would see these older headphones or headsets. Older headsets will have this. Certain applications, certain devices that you may have may use this for that type of connection. All right, moving along. The next one is a 3.5 millimeter or a 1/8. This one is commonly referred to as a headphone jack. Basically, headphones as for your common headphones, something that may be like earbuds or whatever, they're going to have this. Now, the difference is this one is a tip and a sleeve, and this one is a tip, ring, and sleeve. The one that for specifically for headphones is going to be a tip, ring, and sleeve, which in this case it's going to produce two signals, just like with your RCA cables that I mentioned. White is left, red is right. You're gonna have your sleeve is gonna be your ground. It's gonna be the ground for both sides or both channels. Your ring is gonna be your ring is gonna be your right, your tip is gonna be your left. So if you have an issue depending on what side is playing, it'll determine which side or which line has that issue. That's a good way to troubleshoot. Like if your right side is playing and your left side is not, it's going to be something on the ring side. Wait, no, on the tip side. Excuse me. If the left is not playing, it's going to be on the tip. And then this one right here, a lot of DJs, I'm sure, and that's a typo right there. That's supposed to be 1/4, not 1/14. 6.35 millimeters is what it is in metric, but this is a 1/4 or what a lot of people say a quarter plug, which is used a lot for DJs, whether you're using it for your headphones or whether you're using it to connect other stuff into the back of your equipment. The quarter plug is one that's popular. You can use it in several applications. You can use it as a TS and a TRS is where you want to use it. Now, the next one that I'm going to talk about is a little bit different. We're staying with this type of cable, but there is something that you need to know specifically about this next slide. And let me see what I do to make it go. I think I have to go back over here. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, there we go. So hold on, let me take a sip real quick. Now, this is something that's very important. Since and actually this has been discontinued now because a lot of cell phones don't have headphone jacks. Cell phone companies have done away with having the headphone jacks to make their devices slimmer. Everything now is Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. As for exporting the sound to other hardware or applications or whatever, there's no there's no headphone jack. If you need to use actual headphones or earbuds or whatever, you have to use an adapter that plugs into your charging port that converts it over to whatever it is that you want to use. Now, like I said earlier, you have your tip and your sleeve. That's a mono connection. Now, like I said, this is still being used widely among everything. If you're using the quarter with the tip and sleeve, which is unbalanced, guitarists is used for like guitar cables. It can be used for patch cables. There's a there's a variety of applications to where this type of connection can be used. And like I said, this is mono. This is mono, which means only one channel, tip and sleeve. Now, when you have the next one, your tip, ring, and sleeve, which is right here, you've now added a ring. You've added a band across here, which allows for another conductor. You now have three. In most applications, like I say, with DJs and headphones, you now have a left channel and a right channel. Your left channel is the tip. That's the positive side of that channel. Your right side is the ring. And then you have the sleeve, which serves as the ground for each. So your sleeve is shared among the negative for the tip and is shared for the negative provided for the ring, which is your left and your right. And once again, in applications, you can use a TRS for a TS, but in some applications, you can't use a TS for a TRS. So it's only backwards compatible one way. Backwards compatible for, I guess, with the TS. No, TRS. The TRS is compatible, but you can't backwards compatible with the TS. Now, the last one is something that it's been around for a long time. It's not anything new, but when cell phones did come out with um, with headphone jacks, you needed a way to import your mic. So if you had earbuds or headphones that had a mic into it, you now not only need to have TRS to where you can hear a left channel and a right channel, but you also need to have your boom mic to where it will be able to import audio in. So that's where they added in another ring. They took right here where the sleeve starts, added another band, and also gave it another ring. And now at this point, the sleeve serves three purposes. It serves the ground for three different things: two channels of audio and one channel, or well, two channels of audio out, a left and a right, and a channel of audio inbound. So your tip still serves as a left. I'm trying to remember. Okay, your tip still serves as a left, and since this one was a left and a right, the first band of the ring serves as your right, but this second band serves as your mic. So whenever you're talking on your headset, you're using this right here. Now, the reason why I bring this up, and some of y'all may know that when the pandemic started and a lot of people started streaming, instead of most of them going to streaming on their computers, which in that point, all you needed was a TRS in most applications. A lot of them wanted to stream to their phones, which means they need to have that last ring. This was the most important one when streaming from your phone or your mobile device. Because the thing is, you need to have a way for sound to go in. Sound going out is not the issue because you can monitor your sound out from your stream. You can monitor it from your equipment. So you didn't have to worry about the monitoring of the stream as for that point. You needed to worry about how can I get my audio to stream through my mobile device. So that's where the ring came in. And if you didn't have that, you didn't have it, you didn't get any audio in. All right, just like I said before with the TS and the TRS, it's only with the TRS and the TRRS you have a compatibility one way. Now, if you want to listen to audio, if you want to listen to audio on your cell phone, you can use a TRS. Of course, you're not going to be able to record because one, whatever device you have, most likely won't have a mic. If it if it if it doesn't have a mic, then it's going to be TRS. And also, well, that's the most important thing, that you don't have a mic. So there's no need for that issue. So you won't be able to record in it. Now, the problem that I've been experiencing or seeing people experience is using a TRS, um, using the TRS with with the TRS. No, excuse me, using the TRRS with a TS. So using your computer and plugging in a TRRS is going to cause issue unless you have a computer that accepts TRRS. An older computer which is built for TRS is going to have a problem because the sleeve. All right, so right here, you have a full sleeve, or you have a full sleeve for TRS, which is what will probably be used on your computer. Now, you're going to put something that has also a conductor for a ring on top of a sleeve. So if that connection inside makes a sleeve connection here too, then it's going to shorten out. It's going to shorten out the two, and either you're going to have you may have a hum, you may have some type of noise, or it may not even play at all. From what I experienced, it won't pick up the audio if you're trying to record in it. It won't work. Well, it won't record anyway because in most cases it's going to have a separate um, it's going to have a separate port, or it may have a separate connection to where the ring or something else. In most cases it can be a tip and a sleeve, and anything else that you have is going to cause interference. For instance, like what I'm using right now with my lapel mic or my lavalier mic, I have an adapter. The actual cord or the tip is a TRRS. In order for it to get in my computer, I had to have an adapter. So the adapter that I'm using, it, excuse me, the adapter that I'm using is TRRS to TRS, because whenever I try to use it without the adapter, it will not record because the port for my the port for that is not compatible. So always remember that. Make sure that you use the right connection for the right device. All right, let's move on to the next one. So now we're in the, well, not the last one, but the next to the last as for audio. This is the XLR cable. Um, couldn't find what the XLR means, but if you really want to mess up somebody and play with them, call them Canon plugs or Canon cables. And the reason why that is because that's also another name for XLR, which the Canon is the name of the person that created it. The person that created it, his name is James H. Cannon. He created this type of connection, so it became the Canon plug or the Canon cable, which I don't think nobody uses anymore because it's better to say XLR. He also owns a company, but he doesn't own that. This is not related to the actual Canon as for like cameras and so forth. This is a different Canon. He owned I forgot the name of it. It's a cable based company. There's also other cables that he created as well, but this one right here is the XLR. Now, the most common, there's several different types. I think there was five or more. I have some of them listed. There was five or more different type of XLRs. You don't need to really worry about all of them. You may run across some of them, but only in like broadcasting and pro audio and video um, applications. The common one that we use right now as DJs, which right here, the 3 pin, these two right here, this is the female and this is the male, is the XLR3. That's the common use. Now you have some, and I can't tell. All right, here's one. This is XLR4, which is used for DC power and intercom headsets. And then you have XLR5, which I think is this one, maybe these two. This one that looks like 5, and I think this one is 4. I can't really tell. That was the best picture that I can find that had different different types of cables in them. So I think this okay, this is for this looks like 4 and 4. I think one of them looking at a shadow. So it's either 4 or 5. But anyway, these cables are used with pro audio and microphone. We're going back to the XL3, the common. They're used for pro audio and microphone. When they're used for pro audio, they're used with line levels up to a certain impedance and a certain capacity of handling that those cables can use. Now, there are cables that did replace the XR. They're mostly used with, when used with auto applications, they're mostly used with more active equipment than passive. There are some cables that are used with passive specifically because they can handle the high currents, resistance, and power handling that was being sent through them. Now, XLRs are not designed to handle, um, um, let's say, passive applications. So, if using uh, 5,000 or let's say a 2,000 watt amp with the passive speaker, you would not use an XLR cable. The wiring and stuff would not be able to handle it. It's handled with low line levels, which is a low signal that you're sending from your equipment, whether it be your DJ mixer or your line mixer, to a powered speaker. Low line level, not a high line level. High line level is going from maybe a 1,000 watt amplifier to a speaker. You would want something with a higher gauge and lower, higher or lower impedance to be able to process that out. So this is mostly used for active speakers or powered speakers as well as microphone. Whether the microphones be a standard dynamic or whether there's something that has a phantom power, which is a 48 volt power to activate the microphone and to be able to pick up the this complete spectrum of frequencies. All right, so next one, moving on. And last one for the audio. Speak on cable. Now, I haven't encountered this. I do have a sub here that has a speak on. I have speak on cables. Um, I just don't have an amplifier. I got all that stuff, but never did. And I think the amplifier I have, it doesn't have a speak on connection. So I would have to have some type of converter or whatever. But speak on cables were created for, I mean, large touring concert type applications to where when you connect it, it stays on. Nobody walking back past it trips on the cable and pull it out as what you would with any of the other connection. This was like a twist and lock type of connection. Like I said, these mostly handled with large PA to to where um, to where you would provide a high level or a high level to your equipment. You were going from a high powered amplifier, whether it be 1,000, 2,000, or whatever, you sending that main signal out to your speakers. And these are passive speakers, speakers that don't have any type of amplification. They may have a crossover capacitor, inductor, or whatever, but they do not have anything to amplify. The amplifier came before the connection. And this right here replaced a lot of different connections. It replaced direct wiring. It replaced using quarter connections for speakers or whatever. Is rated at 30 amps RMS, and that's just current. That's not power. That's 30 amps. 30 amps. That's more than what the household wiring has. The household wiring has 15 and 20 amp breakers. So you're sending twice as much as a standard breaker in your home. And that's through the speakers. Usually the power supply on them are different too, because it's based on what your equipment is that's going to provide the power. Now, like I said, these are designated not to be removed easily. They push in and they twist and lock, and you have two conductors. You have two conductors, which basically that's all you need for that type of connection. The name of the company is called Nutrix. They also make several other cables that I'm gonna be talking about in the next podcast. When I go over power, I'll be talking about the power cons, which are very similar to these, but they work completely. They don't work differently besides the fact that they're for power, but the amount that goes through them is different than what a speaker on. You can't. I don't think you can use this. You can't use a speaker on for a power. You may be able to use a power for a speaker, but not the other way around because you sending out a lot of voltage and a lot of current for the power. But usually the two work are usually found hand in hand. If you have an amplifier that has a power con connection, or whatever equipment that you have has a power com connection, I bet you there's a speaker on connection somewhere in that link. So that's a good thing to a key thing to remember. If you have speak on connections, you may have to get PowerCon connections too. Now, the gauge for the wiring for these is the wiring is going to be thicker. It's going to be thicker than anything that I've mentioned so far earlier, from RCA or whatever. It's going to be a lot different. So the gauge of the wire is going to be standard. It's going to be about 14, and it can go up as 10 and maybe even 8, depending on your application. If you check out tour rigs, they may use 8 or 10 or whatever to handle all the power that they have going on during the show. All right, that's speaker. All right, let me break out for a second and check the comments. All right. See what type of comments we got. All right, my man said chilling, working on his class and watch. Thank you for tuning in, my brother. Thank you for tuning in. Always good to have you. All right. And Eric says, yes, I've seen the TS used many years in the studio. Yep. If you have a patch panel, which like I do, you either use TS or you use TRS. And the one that I have, I could use either or, but whatever connection that you run through the back, you want to make sure it's the same as the front. You don't want to use a TS with a TRS, especially if the equipment that you're connecting is a TRS, then you're missing that other connection. So make sure that you try to stay with what you have. All right, and is that funny? Yep. And back in the early '80s, you didn't have quarter-inch patch panels. You did have some that were RCA. Now, the difference between having one of those and the others now is a lot different. Because when I started when we moved into this house, I um I used to use TS. I used to use TS quarters to RCA because at that time, mostly mostly my mixers only had quarters and they had quarters and RCA. It wasn't until I got my first rain mixer, or I'm trying to remember which one did I have, either the rain mixer or the Behringer that had XLR. That's when, at that point, when I heard actual balance, I'm like, shoot, this is what I need to be using here in the studio. So then I replaced those cables. I took out, I mean, I had good long Hoser RCA to TS quarters, which it was balanced both ways. Even the quarter was balanced, and I just took them out and did XLR with everything. So right now, my XLRs, the sound is a little bit cleaner. I don't hear that hum in it where I have to go around and try to chase. Okay, which one of you chords are producing the hum? So now I don't have to do that anymore, which that's a noticeable difference. Everything now I have, um, I don't even think I only if I use a quarter inch, it's only for maybe the monitors, or no, it's basically for the stream out. If I'm streaming or whatever, something that needs to go to the computer, then that's what I'm using for that. So in that way I won't have that issue. All right, take one more sip and a deep breath, and then we can move on. And my drink is gone. So, all right, guys, we're about halfway through. Like I said, this is gonna be a short night because I still got the other half that I need to do, and I'm gonna have time to do my research. So, all right, let's move on. All right, so now we went over speakers. Now we're gonna move on to the one that took a little bit more time because there's more um, different cables and connections to talk about. Like I said, I'm not gonna go through all the details. I mean, I could have made this really detailed and talked about a lot of different things about this stuff, but I went through, and as if I'm telling a newbie, somebody that has never done audio before, but I don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of details, is the information that I'm giving. I'm giving stuff that y'all may already know. I'm giving stuff. All right. If you haven't heard, now I have a concept that's called the Ebenezer Scrooge theory. And when I do that, whenever I'm doing anything, whether it's technical or a consultation or whatever, there's three parts to it. Just like with Ebenezer Scrooge, he got presented with the ghost of Christmas present. Wait, no, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future, or past, present, future. That's how I present stuff. I present stuff because I only want to say it one time. I want to make sure you got what I said. I want to make sure you heard me, and I want to make sure you remember me. Said, heard, and remember. And what I mean by this right here, when I say something, I may repeat or say something you may already know or that you heard me say. So you can't say, well, I didn't hear you say that or I didn't understand. You got it the first time. That right there is the past. Now, present is going to be basically the stuff I'm telling you now, what we're talking about currently. So, currently, whatever I'm telling you needs to sink in. Now, let's go to the future. Going to the future means that I'm going to share with you some stuff that I think you may know so that if any issues that happen, you know what to do to resolve it. So I'm gonna give you a little bit more information to kind of say from, oh shoot, Ken told me something, but oh, I don't think he gave me an answer on how. Wait a minute, yeah, he did. He did say do this and do that if this happens. That is the future. So you got the past. I'm gonna make sure what I told you sinks in. The present, make sure what we were currently talking about grasp hold, and the future, make sure that you don't bother me for a while because I'm gonna give you that bit of information in case that you have problems. And I use this all the time, and it works. It works to a point, but it works with most people. It depends on what the situation is. All right, so video, and this is how everything is labeled. The way that I put it out is that we're starting from good to best. Now, a lot of you guys know what more about what I'm about to say. You're like, oh, well, yeah, I know. Yeah, composite is yellow and this and that, this and that. But there may be something that somebody, a new person, may need to understand. I'm also going to be talking about why is this important for audio, or why is it important for DJing, or pro audio, or whatever it is that you're doing. There's a reason that I'm putting it out there and that I'm sharing, because there's some, you may know what the cables mean or you may know what they are, but do you know how they work? And that's only going to be brief, as everything has been before. So let's move on. All right, now composite cables, which are RCA. Like I mentioned before in the very beginning, with RCA, these are the most basic. Um, the only thing that I can mention is that when you get these, like when I worked at Dish Network, they came with the cable. Now, with some of the cables that they have, the yellow cable was thicker. It still had the same end in it on it, but the yellow was thicker than the red and the white. That's because a different signal was processed on that cable, and it was produced. And if I remember right, it was more of a solid. It wasn't stranded copper cables. It was more of a solid. So that's something that you might want to remember is if you're doing video, you want your video to be good. Your video is going to reflect a lot on how your project is or whatever it is that you're working on. So get good quality cables. The resolution for this type of cable is very low. So this is like back in, let's see, how far can we go back? We can go back to maybe early 2000s or whatever. Let's go back to where TVs were tubes, and um, large TVs were projection screens, where the video was at 480. Which, if any of you can remember, that was the difference between a 480 and even a 720 is a lot different. But you compare a 480 to a 1080 or 480 to a 4K, you see a whole lot of difference and a whole lot of definition. So with these cables, they couldn't produce no more than 480. 576i if you have a device or if you have equipment that can process that signal. Now, even with 576i, that's still not good compared to today's standards. So if you have a connection and you don't have anything higher than this, then that's what you're stuck with. Now, the other thing that you need to know is that when you're doing composite video, it can come out in different formats, and you have to choose the format based on where you are and what your equipment is. So here in the states, we use NTSC, and I can't remember what it means, and I didn't write it down. But NTSC for the states, PAL for international. If you're doing something overseas, across the pond, or whatever, the format is probably going to be in PAL. But here in the States, keep everything NTSC. You keep it NTSC, it's gonna look as good as it need to be. That's all I can say. It's gonna look as good as it need to be, but if you change it to PAL, you're gonna see a difference. It's gonna look bad, it's gonna look distorted. It could be a lot worse. CCAM, I'm not for sure exactly what that means. I added it here anyway, but I didn't really get to look it up or get any details about it. But the only thing I want to say is you mostly gonna see NTSC or PAL if it has the option. If it gives you that option, make sure you choose NTSC because most equipment here in the States is going to be that unless you order something from Japan or Germany or Italy or somewhere England, even Africa or whatever, it's going to have the PAL format. But if you're using equipment like a TV, VCR, DVD player, even a computer or whatever, and it has outputs for composite, make sure you change it to PAL. If it doesn't show right, then you want to make sure, excuse me, you want to make sure that it is NTSC. If it's not, then you need to go check and see and find what the issue is. But that's it for composite. The next one is S video. S video stands for separate video. And what I mean by separate video is that it produces two different signals. It produces a black and white signal and it produces a color signal. Now, this cable is a 4-pin DIN connector. You can also get this confused with other ones. You may have some that may have up to probably 8 pins, or I know at least five pins, and these can also be used on other applications, but you need to make sure that the application is the same layout as for the wiring and the pins. You don't want to get it into and where 4 is one and where 3 is 2. You're going to make sure everything is the same. Now, as I was saying about the pins 3 is an intensity pin. Pin 4 is for color. So let me see. 3 is luminance, luminescence, and 4 is chrominescence. But for short, I said intensity and color, where 4 produces your color signal and 3 produces your intensity signal, which is your black and white. But 1 and 2 are ground for each, or it might be a shared ground to where it's all connected together. But right now, a lot of people you won't really see this one. But if you have and like I said, everything that I stated, you're going from good to best. But if you have a piece of equipment and it has composite and S video, if you could use S video, use S video because it produces a more signal than and it like I've got in the PowerPoint. It produces the same signal as component, but the signal is a lot better. As for how it's separated, you got two different signals as the component only has one that it splits in the process. It's like as things started to evolve, as equipment started to evolve, you went from one to two, from two to four, from four to eight. They made everything to where it was separate and they was able to process to where it looks a lot better. So with S video, if you have S video and composite, then if you can use S video, use it. I've done it several times myself. Now the next one, the only reason I listen to this one, this is a computer based as for video, but in applications, there's applications where you may use it for pro audio well. If you're a DJ and you're doing video DJing, you're playing videos, and you don't your projector or the projector for the venue doesn't have RCA, you can hook up a VGA. This is the most common one for computers. Mostly all computers, especially even some of the newer ones, they have at least a VGA and a DVI. Now, this one, the pins, don't get them confused. This one has a 15 pin D sub connection. Don't get it confused with the serial. The serial port has a 9 pin. So even if you tried, you couldn't get a 15 into a 9, and I don't think you can get a 9 into a 15. So there's no way that you can look at the back of the computer and see that it has a similar port and then try to fit it on that. It will only fit one way. The resolution for this has went up or increased compared to some of the other ones. Like some of the other ones, 480 and 760i is what they can do. But now since you have this with a computer, you can get that 480 for a video, or if you're on computer, you can get close to a 1600. So depending on what you're using it for is what application or what changes that you want to make in order to use it for that. Now, like I said, this is used video DJing, karaoke. You may use it to connect your laptop and do what's the thing called? Uh, where you're projecting. Oh, shoot, I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me later. Definitely come to me later. All right, let me take a small break real quick and see if we have any comments. All right, just had Eric ask call. Yeah, that's what I should. Let me see. Yeah, can't do that. Everybody should be in bed. There's I don't hear feet pattering around upstairs. So all right, gonna keep on because I don't have that many more. And like I said, I'm gonna end this early, even though I'm already in an hour and a half. It'll be over with before 2 hours. That for sure. It'll be over within 2 hours. So let's go ahead and choke this bad boy out. Now, moving on to the next one is DVI. DVI. Okay, there we go. DVI, which stands for Digital Visual Interface. Just like with VGA, you're going to have this connection too. This connection is a lot better than VGA because the resolution of what you're using can go up high. Now, the reason that I brought VGA because it's basic, little stuff that you need to know about it, not that much, but with DVI, there's some stuff that you need to know. Now, it can the pin connection, not to get it confused with anything, is going to have up to 29 pins. So you can look at the back computer and see a DVI and be like, oh, okay, this is a DVI. I ain't never seen nothing like this before. Or I remember Ken showing it to me, and this is what he said about DVI. DVI can have up to 29 pins. There are some that have less. Um, the like I said, there are various types You have to make sure you choose the right cable or the right adapter that you're using. If you're using a DVI to HDMI adapter, you need to make sure that the adapter that you're using connects into the DVI port the correct way. And there are different ports. All right, before I go into and show you what I mean by different ports, last thing I'll mention before we move on is that the resolution of it, as you can see, for a single channel, I think that's what it is, single channel. I put down single. I can't remember whether it was channel or not, but anyway, is up to 1200, and a dual is 1600, which you're gonna have a better resolution. And these are computer resolutions mostly. So this is something to remember if you're connecting one of these up to your computer, but you want to get the best resolution as you can, or either you got stuff that's gone off screen or you got stuff that's making it smaller on your screen and not filling up the whole border of the screen. So you need to make sure that you change it. And this is all based on the connection. So moving along, these are the type of connections that you have. If you can kind of see this, and I'm just going to back myself out so y'all can see the whole screen and without me. And let me see if I can put myself. Okay, right there. This is a whole lot better. I'm gonna leave it on this one. Now, with this one, um, as you can see, with a lot of them, and let me go to this one is a you're gonna have a DVI and you're gonna have a DVI D. And I think there's an analog too. You may not be able to see the picture real good or be able to read the text, but you have a dual link. Dual link is all 20, I think 24 channels. Two, four, six, eight, 24. Yep, 24. All 24 pins are used, and then one to the side. So that's 25. That's going to give you a dual link. It's going to give you that resolution, I think, of 1600, 25 something by 1600. If you're using, okay, so these are the five, and it's showing the male and the female. I didn't realize that. Okay, this was a good one to use. All right, so you're using the dual link. If you're using this one, it's not the best one. It's but it's going to give you a better signal than the one at the bottom. Of course, when you're using a lot more pins, it's going to give you a lot better signal. So, what some of these pins are colors. If I remember right, 6 pins like this may produce green. You have another one that's going to produce a color. Another one produce a color. It's going to produce all the color, and then you have some that carries over audio. And I think that these are the ones, the 4 and 5 over there, they carry your audio signal. That's the detail that I didn't provide, but I know that out of the 24 pins, those are used to produce your colors, your red, blue, green, and as well as your sync. And it's six, if I remember right, it's six per color, 6 per color. So 2 rows of 3 produces a blue, 2 rows of 3 produces a red, 2 rows of 3 produces a green. And that gets you the colors. And then I think the other ones are audio and sync depending on what it is. But make sure that you have the right connections for your device. Now, since I've had that drink, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna leave this right here so y'all can meditate on that for a second. Let me run and use the boardroom and get me something to drink. I'll be right back. Keep my mic. All right, I'm back. Wish I could have called the son up to come get my drink, but everybody should be in bed, so only took me a few seconds. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is the display port, which is one. And let me shift myself off so you can actually see it. Nope, this one. All right, the display port is one that you may not use that much, but you need to know there's some stuff that you need to know about it in case that you do. Now, there's different types of display ports. There's this one, which is the full size display port, and then there's the mini display port that you would see if you have a MacBook, especially an older MacBook from maybe 2007 up to 2012 or 2011. You would have a MacBook this mini display port, which allows you to produce a video on your second screen. I don't have that one. I didn't provide a picture for that one. Now, the actual display port, the full size one, is going to be carried on mostly either a Windows PC or laptop, or you will see them on monitors, which allows a direct connection for those. Now, like I said, all the slides that I've shown, everything that I've talked about, I've went from good to best. So right now, this over DVI is best because along with this can carry not only video and audio, but it can also carry USB. So it also can carry the signal as well as audio and video. This one, DisplayPort has 20 pins, which is two more than HDMI. It's the standard HDMI. There's some HDMI that has more, and I'll mention that when I get to that part. So it allows to carry more bandwidth than DVI and anything else that I mentioned before. Everything before this, or no, starting at VGA and DVI are digital signals. Are digital signals. VGA may had some connections that are analog, but mostly it's all digital ones and zeros or whatever. But this is DVI. All right, now we're moving on to the last one, which I could have provided more stuff. There's actually some stuff I left out, so that's going to be the last little thing that I add on that I didn't add to this slide, and that is good old HDMI. HDMI stands for high definition multimedia interface. Always good to know what those abbreviations or whatever mean. Not really that somebody's going to test you, but it's always good to know what they mean. Now, the standard, and there should have been a picture here. I don't know what happened to my picture, but anyway, it was just like the display port, but it was for HDMI. 19 pin is the standard. There is one that has 29 pins. It's a lot wider. I have not seen one yet or know exactly what the use is, and I don't think it really has a use. It doesn't have a use for it, and I'll see if I can bring that up in a minute. And with that, it has 29 pins. It's a lot longer. The connection is probably a lot wider. Right now, HDMI is currently up to 8K, the signal that it has. Now, in order to get 8K, you're gonna spend some cheese for that cable because there's not a lot of 8K devices out there. So um, right now the current is 8K, and I'm sure that it's still going to go up as time goes on. So let me see what this does. Okay, okay, that's what that does. Okay, so all right, so with that, oh yeah, 8K. 8K resolution. Right now, we are currently at 4K. 8K devices are starting to move along. 4K is about half of that. Is 3 8. Let's see, four. No, 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 no. Trying to remember. I can't remember what the rest. 3820 by 21 something is probably it's about half of what 8K is. There's a matter of fact, 4 is it didn't go 4K 8K. It went 4K, and then there's a 5K, and then it's 8K. So there's a 5K before this, but I don't think they're not gonna focus on 5K as much as moving on to 8K. So definition is really gonna get higher. I don't know what the plan is for the cable. Are they gonna come out with a brand new type of cable and then we have to go out and buy all new cables again, get rid of all the HDMI, or will they start to make HDMI cables that are compatible with 8K devices? Hope that's what they do, because all they do, they just change they don't really change the pin of the wiring. They change how the cables are designed or how they're made to be able to handle that amount of bandwidth. Now, some interesting stuff about this, and I'm gonna bring this up in a second. If you never heard of ARC or ARC, audio return channel, you're about to learn what that means. Whenever you look, you can look on the back of your TV. If you look on the back of your TV, if you have two or three or more ports, you may see a port that's labeled ARC. Now, do you know what that means? All right, good. If you don't, you're about to learn what it means. You can look at more details about it later, but I'm just going to go into the detail. I'm just going to explain what it means. And then if you want to look up a little bit more, do a little bit more research, you can. But I'm just going to explain it all in a nutshell real quick. All right, so this is this information I didn't know, but I thought that it would be something worth sharing. This was not founded on one person or two people alone. This was founded, HDMI was founded by several companies. And here's the companies that I have listed. The founded companies was Hitachi, Panasonic, Philips, Silicon Images, Sony, Thompson, and Toshiba. Now, one, two, three, four, five companies out of there were audio video companies. With the other companies, I think they were Tech. Thompson is audio. Silicon Image, I think, is just is electronic. But all these companies to get together and say, "Hey, we want to create this cable or this connection to be able to send um, high capacity or high levels of broadband to where we can increase the amount of resolution per frame, per matrix, or per dots per image or whatever." And that's what they did. They got together and they created HDMI. Right now, if the current HDMI cables that you can buy right now are 2.1, version 2.1. They started at 1.0 and now they're at 2.1. With 2.1, it handles a lot more bandwidth than the 1.0 version. All right, now, like what I was telling you earlier about ARC, this is how ARC works. ARC works like this. All right, look at the picture on the left. Now, let's say if you have over the air TV, or OAT is what it's called, over the air TV, where you're picking up channels with the antenna. There's a lot of different companies, there's a lot of different broadcast stations out there that only produce over the air. You can't find them on cable. You can't find them on anywhere else. They're broadcast to only through antenna. And some of them you can pick up, some of them you can't pick up. You have to make sure you have the right antenna and have it focused or aimed the right way to pick up. Now, over the air, it's not it's not as high def as regular cable, and the amount of bandwidth that's transferred may cause pixelation in your image. So it's not the best, but for free is a lot more. But anyway, with right here where you're built into it, you have a signal that's coming in. That is going to your TV. Now, say for instance, if you have a over the air, uh, well, no, not over the air, but if you have a home theater receiver and you're watching an over the air channel, maybe you're watching an old show, old talk show, or whatever, excuse me, whatever you have broadcast at that time, and you want it to play through your system. Now, usually you would have to have cables to connect to the output, most likely either your RCA or your optical, and connect that to your receiver where it shows it here. But with and this is the connection that you would need to do in order to get from your TV to your receiver. But you have say a Blu-ray player connected to HDMI to your receiver, and that's how you would get this to play here. You just have the audio in that chain. So this is the path right here from Blu-ray or DVD to receiver speakers, and then the video goes out. You would, and in order to get the audio out from your TV, from your tuner, your over-the-air channel to here, you would have to connect the audio cable, whether it's a set of RCA's for audio, or if you're connecting digital, you would have to do that. But what this is saying is that, okay, we are doing bidirectional bandwidth. We're going forward and we're going back. So you eliminate the audio cable here, and that signal for the built-in tuner is sent back into the receiver. Now, in order for this to work, both connections need to be connected in ARC. Your TV has to be plugged into AR, and your receiver or whatever other device have to be plugged in AR, so the signal can travel both ways. And that's what all it's doing, is traveling both ways, and you're eliminating the other connection. You're eliminating the optical, you're eliminating the RCA to where you don't need it. And that's what you're doing. That's as easy as that can get in a nutshell. So um that's about it. The only other thing that I wanted to add about HDMI is and I'm trying to get my stylus back so I can Nope, didn't want to do that. Okay. All right. So that right there is the end right there. That concludes this half of it. The next half, I'll probably be doing it next week. I'll be working on adding the rest for uh, for that segment. And what I'm going to be covering, I got stuff. I'm writing stuff down and I'm recording it so I can go ahead and get it down. So we cover audio and video. The next one is going to be. Let's see, did I? All right. Next one, next week gonna be cover lighting or lighting. Excuse me, lighting, not lightning, but lighting. The different types of cables for lighting and how to use them and what to use them. I have something that's labeled signal only, which I remember what I was gonna do there. Power, different type of power connection. That includes IEC. Do you know what IEC means? Do you know anything else about IEC? Well, you don't. You're gonna learn next week. And also PowerCon, which is the Nutrix version of the Speakon, but for power. And also some optical cables that you probably gonna need to know about. And then um, touch and dab into the questions that were in the what I listed earlier. Now, if you haven't taken the survey yet, here is the link. I posted it earlier. It's also posted in the zone. It's in the top at the announcement section. It's a red section or whatever. It was provided by Hosa, and I went ahead and took it. It kind of stumped me for a minute, but I was able to catch on to it and to be able to complete for 100. Eric said he got a 90, which which I mean that's good. I got stumped on generators. Uh, sure, why not? I'll write that down. Generators. I left my pencil upstairs, but I'll make sure I remember that generators. We can add that in. Add that in. I'm gonna add that in for power. I'm gonna put power with power. I'm gonna add generators. So oh the thing that I wanted to add about HDMI. HDMI has different types. There are at least 4 or 5. You have your standard HDMI. You have your Type B HDMI, which is the 29, which there's no use for it now. It's been created, but they haven't found a use or nobody really uses it for anything. Then you have your HDMI Mini, and then you have your HDMI Macro. Your HDMI Mini is mostly used for cameras, DSLR cameras, and camcorders. The camcorder that you're watching me from now is connected via HDMI Mini, which is a little bit is wider than the micro, but it's smaller than a standard and thinner than a standard. But the micro looks more like a USB B. What? Let me see. Looks like a um, USB Mini, not USB Micro. It looks more like a USB Mini. It's not as flat as a Micro. I don't think anything is as small as Micro USB Micro, but a Mini, yes, it's close to a Mini. And no, the Micro is close to USB Mini, or is it close to a USB Mini? Anyway, The Mini is used for like GoPros and action cams, which I have one here. Well, oh, my camera has one. And I don't think my overhead is set up, but let's see if I can do it in the slideshow. I don't think it's set up. Nope, it's not set up. But anyway, like I said, a mini, no, a micro looks like um both. The micro USB looks more like a micro mini. No, shit, what am I saying? Micro HDMI looks more like a micro USB. Yep, that's what I want to say. Think I'm dehydrated. Oh, and power strips. Damn cursor. Okay, gotta and power strips. Yeah, sure. I'm trying to think what I said about power strips. I could go into power supplies or UPS. A lot of people don't know about. You know what? Yep, power strips. I know what I can go into. I said, if this is stuff that y'all want to know, hey, sure. Because sooner or later, and like I said, usually happen in a week. This week starts to go on. Somebody's gonna ask a question, and I usually, probably, most likely, said it here. So, overload the strip. Yep. Matter of fact, I have just in this room alone, I'm looking at three UPSs. Three. There's one above me for my three lights that are providing light. There's one above me. My computer's connected to one. We had a heavy storm this week, and no, we had a heavy storm today. After when I got here, I noticed my computer was off. I'm like, okay, that's odd. It usually does shut off. So the storm must have knocked out power long enough to drain the battery out. But since I've been back here working on getting this ready, um, it clipped out a few times. Some of the TVs went out, but computer stayed on, thank goodness. Oh, see, there you go. Please. Everybody wants to quit DJing. I don't know what's going on. This dude posted 6 days ago that he wanted to quit DJing. Some people was giving him advice, hey, you need to go, and include myself, you need to go on a different venue. Try to find something that makes you happy. And others said, hey, what kind of equipment you got for sale? You got something I want to buy? And then just today, I thought it was the same one. I thought it was the same post. When I looked at it, it said either 2 or 3 hours. I'm like, and then I went back and checked up on the person and found out it was the same person. I'm like, nah, this is trolling. This oh no, this is trolling. So yeah, that was oh the way I get busting, right, busting, get brother sounds. Have a power speaker plugged up. Yep. Power and signal don't go together. You get not you get a signal interference in between it. So you usually have to run them separate. And that's what I do. Sometimes I may run all power one way and run audio another, or even signal like USB. Like how I have my range running here, I have the power cables run in one direction, and then I got the other ones run in the, well, not different direction, but run to this side, and you got the other ones run to this side to where they're not close. I mean, I can take tape and bundle them together, but I may experience some issues there, which I haven't. All right. Yep, I'm done. Right now I'm just having fun with y'all, answering a couple questions, chit chatting, whatever. Had to buy a longer power strip. Necessarily, you don't have to buy a longer one. You can just buy a better power strip. The power strip that I have right here is, I don't know if you ever seen a power strip that can plug in 24 devices. And it's probably, I'm looking at it now, I'm trying to see. It's probably about 18 inches long. It's about, it's probably about this long, from about here to here. But it can plug in 24 devices. You can plug devices across the top. You can plug devices across this side. You can plug devices across this side. So you got three directions. They even have one that's I think the next one up was like 32. You can plug in 32. Better isolated cables. Yeah, that's like I said, I run them separate, especially power. You don't want to run them right next to each other or to other stuff. But that's it. I just see you guys just giving me more stuff to add, but that's cool because I didn't know what I was gonna do anyway. I mean, I started on the PowerPoint a little bit early, but for some reason, the computer that I was using didn't like PowerPoint that well, so it kept shutting off. I had to keep starting over and over and over and over. So I got tired and I said, well, I just started to write stuff down, find stuff along the way. And I think that was my pen right there. Nope, it wasn't. My remote. All right, so I had my pencil with my notepad, but I guess I left it on the table. All right, guys. 2 hours cap. Thought it was gonna be shorter than that one, but I did go to a little bit in depth than what I usually do, but I'll write it down when I start editing. 12 inputs. Yeah, I got one. The one that I have that's 12 is about this long. I actually got two. One in the studio, two, and then another one in my workshop. But I tell you, this one, I'll send a link. I'll send a link when I get off. Inbox me and I'll send you the Amazon link, because I bought this one at Fry's before they went out of business. And I hate that they did went out of business. I probably should have got two. PowerPoint was. No, it wasn't a trial. I don't think it was a trial. It was my wife's old laptop, but I don't know. I didn't think I had PowerPoint on this one, but I did. It was an older version, 2013, but it worked. It got me the job done and so forth. But to wrap things up, thank you guys for joining in and hanging in there with me. I hope everybody learned something, even if it's just one thing. Like I said, I try to share any type of knowledge that I have with anybody that's available to open it. If there's somebody that you know that needs to learn this or something I said um, that they may need to know, share it with them. Share it with them. There's a lot of times that I share these links in groups instead of basically replying. I just I just send them a link. I just send them the link, and that's how that builds up my my followers and subscribers or whatever. I don't do this all for with content creators, how content creators do. They're out trying to make this is their bread and butter. I'm just doing this for fun and just to say, hey, I know how to do this. I did this before or whatever. Some people, this is their life. All right, cool. You sent me a message. So I go ahead and search that up on Amazon and get that to you. I don't know right now if I want to practice or if I want to go to bed. I think going to bed kind of sounds good right now since I have to get up in the morning and I came straight in from work to try to get this started. And I get a jump heads up jump start on uh you know what? I know what I want to do. Eric, get with me after this. The ninja thing that I was telling you about. Just want to see how that works real quick. But I'm about to sign now so we can go ahead and practice this ninja thing because I'm excited to see how this works out. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, all that other stuff. If you haven't already, send this to other people or whatever. Like to say, shout out to Tammy. Mac was has gone home, and I didn't get a chance to go to the funeral, but I did do some stuff that make Mac proud, and also brought a big smile to Tammy's face. So rest in peace, my brother Mac. Man, we'll never forget you, man. Um, Hope Tammy, if you're watching, that you and the family are doing okay. If you got any questions or anything you want to talk to me about, hit me up. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll send you my number if you need to call or whatever. So other than that, I hope everybody is doing well. Everybody stay safe. And like what is it? What is it that you say, Eric? Send me your message. You know what I'm talking about. What you always say. Go ahead, type it in. Um, the one about stupid. The what you always say about stupid. I'm waiting for it to come up. It's gonna come up any second now. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to come up. All right. While I'm waiting for Eric to pop up, the last message of the day. Pandemic Games Entertainment premiere live event is going on this week. I will be giving stuff away during the games. There will be prizes at the games. So if you want to win a prize, you need to come and play. You basically need to beat me. If anybody you need to play, you need to beat me. I am giving away prizes. One thing I'm giving away a code to save 10 cents off gas at Shell. I'm basically gonna be giving away my oh, and I gotta go make sure I redeem all of them. I'm gonna be giving away a lot of T-Mobile Tuesday discounts. I may be giving away my $2 Dunkin' Donuts. I have one for Skawashi's, Skala, whatever it is. It's a sandwich place. It's German or whatever. I can't remember the place. Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, where you at, Eric? I don't see your comment. The one about staying away from stupid. All right, let's see what I'm gonna be giving away. All right, I got a $2 Dunkin's card, Skolowski's, Yep, Skolowski's. Any small sandwich for $1.99. I'm giving that away. If you're a person that like Puma and you shop from Puma.com, 40% off. Let's see what else. 10% off gas with extended gold status. If you shop from GoPuff, free Unreal chocolate plus free delivery. And this is stuff that I have on my phone that I get every Tuesday from T-Mobile. I'm starting off to give away prizes. I thought about doing actual money, but I'm like, okay. Let's start off something small. Uh, you good with testing? It's up to you. I mean, I could probably be up a little bit longer. Um, there's something that I was trying to do with my OBS and I couldn't get it. Trying to do it to where I can control my scenes and sources and stuff via MIDI, but I couldn't get it. I see that they'll be updating it a lot, and I still can't get it to work. I still can't get the plugin to work. So I just wanted to check out because Steven sent me a message saying that they had filters for audio for Ninja to make it sound better. You know, he's always been saying that the sound with Ninja was horrible, which it is, but you know, sometimes you got to work with what you have. I did do some research a few weeks ago on trying to make it better. Trying the plugins that I had working with you last time, they didn't work that good. So hopefully this should work. So if you good, if you're available with testing, let me know. If not, oh, but game Quiz Planet, man. If you haven't played, and I think you did used to come and play. If you haven't come through Saturday, I'm gonna start while Eric. I'm gonna start giving away the prizes while Eric is playing, so I will have actual time to play before I do a set. I don't know. I may do something pre-recorded to play so I can play in the games too because it's hard for me to host, spin, and play at the same time because the questions are like that. I tell you what, this is what we do. In just a few minutes, when I get off in in the I'm gonna send oh okay. You remember about Beat You Bad. Okay, this is what we're gonna do real quick. In the now we just gonna do this in a private room. I said I was gonna say we could do it in the pandemic room, but we're not gonna do it in the pandemic room because then everybody's gonna be wondering, oh hey, why are you playing the game but you didn't let me know about it? We just gonna do a private game in the cutting board. So let's go ahead and get off right now. I'm gonna hit y'all back in a few minutes if you want to play. Eric, go ahead and if you want to Yeah, go ahead, Eric, and then everybody can tell me if the audio is good. So I won't just be hearing on my end. You can also hear it on other ends as well. So let's go ahead, sign off. All right, everybody, if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, you probably only seeing this. You didn't see all the other personal comments um, that we were talking about before. So thank everybody for tuning in. Catch y'all next week, two, part two of the cables. All right. Good night, and we are out. Peace.